Okay, now we are going to talk about Project 1, the project you are working on in the very first unit. You are asked to create a memoir, which is very similar to a personal narrative. So let's look at that. Okay, so prompt. First of all, it says, write a friendly letter to yourself in the future in the style of a memoir or autobiography. Include a factual experience or memory that you have recently experienced and how it affected you and those around you. Be sure that your letter includes characterization techniques. So that means like you're describing who was involved, kind of giving an idea of what they were like, what's their character, specific details, and an allusion. Your letter should have a clear beginning, middle, and ending. We're going to further talk about all of these parts. Okay, so you're going to reflect on an important experience, right? And just a reminder, here are the steps that you will go through to create this memoir. First, you do pre-writing, which means you're coming up with some ideas about what are you going to write about. Then you do your planning, so you plan out, okay, I'm going to talk about this and include this detail, maybe not this detail, okay? Then you draft, so you actually write it. Then you go back and look at it and revise it, make sure everything's edited and capitalized and periods are in and everything makes sense and it's just the way you want it to be. And then the last step is publishing or submitting it. Okay, so let's talk about that word memoir. Writing a story about what has happened to you in your past is called a memoir. A memoir is based on actual events and is considered part of literary nonfiction, so it's true. Memoirs are unique in that the author is sharing their personal insight on specific events or people. So the point we want to make here is you're not just retelling what happened, you're kind of sharing your insights and what you gained, what it did it mean to you, what did you learn from it also. So you're more than just telling what happened, you're reflecting on it, giving the meaning and thinking about it. A memoir generally has a specific set of characteristics, which are it's written in first person point of view, so using the word I experienced this. It can be informal or an intimate tone, kind of more personal, emphasizes the writer's thoughts, feelings, and relationships with the others. So not just what happened, but the whole context. How did it make you feel? What happened? Relates the impact of an important historical event on the writer's life. So again, we want to point out here, it's not just talking about the historical event in your life. You're talking about the impact of that. What happened? How did it affect you? How did it affect others? How did it change you? A memoir is how one remembers one's own life, while an autobiography is a history requiring research, dates, facts, double checked. Right? So that's a little bit more specific about like this and this and this happened. Memoir is a lot more personal and is more about your personal experience. Okay, let's make sure we understand what an allusion is. This happens all the time, especially in English, but everywhere you go, movies, songs, everything, there's allusions everywhere, especially if you're looking for them, you'll find them. So let's make sure we understand. One way an author provides this insight is through the technique of an allusion. An allusion is a reference to a well-known person, place, event, or literary work. Remember, you have to include one allusion in your assignment. Therefore, reading a memoir can give a reader insights into the influence of history on people's lives. So whatever you allude to, whatever you refer to, can kind of give some insight about you. So an allusion is a figure of speech seen in literature when an author refers to a well-known person or place, historical event, or piece of art, such as music, literary work like a book, paintings, sculptures. They're everywhere. Let's look at some examples. So here might be a sentence you might hear with an allusion. Don't act like a Romeo in front of her. Romeo is a reference to Shakespeare's Romeo, a passionate lover of Juliet in Romeo and Juliet. So that's an allusion. It's alluding to the Romeo character in Romeo and Juliet. The rise in poverty will unlock the Pandora's box of crimes. This is an allusion to one of the Greek mythology's origin myth, Pandora's box. This place is like a Garden of Eden. This is a biblical allusion to the Garden of God in the book of Genesis. Hey, guess who is the new Newton of our school? Newton means a genius student, alludes to a famous scientist, Isaac Newton. Right. Sometimes you might use the word Einstein, right? Way to go, Einstein. That's an allusion to Albert Einstein, right? A genius. Here's one other one. Stop acting like my ex-husband, please. Okay, so apart from scholarly allusions, we refer to common people and places in our speech. So it doesn't always just have to be like a well-known book or play like Shakespeare or the Bible or something. This is alluding to a type of person as well. Okay, last thing to look at is when you are going through the course, there is an example of a letter memoir like you were asked to do. This is just one part of it, so make sure you look at that. That is in lesson 4 and 5. So make sure you look at that and read through that example so you have a good idea of what is being asked of you to do. Okay, please complete the questions for this activity now. And when you have completed all of the questions, be sure to send me a message that you have completed this session.